We're gonna start?
Yeah, we're going to start. This is my Uncle Nick Roberto, who is my great uncle.
Oh, great.
He's only 2 years older than my dad, because his mother kept having babies after my father was born.
It took all the glamour out of your mother having her first child.
That's right. That's right.
She always just said my mother took all the attention away from me when she was having more children.
That's right. So there you go. And so what we're going to do today is August 14th, 1996, and we're going to talk about the Robertos and Lombardis and my family and Ross and your family, but you were one of 13.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be fine. We're also going to be monkeying around with the video camera, just like we're going to right now. I'm going to smile. We're back on the
I'm
camera.
on camera.
That's right.
Candid camera.
Okay.
Candid camera.
Okay. There we go. Let's put this on too. Just to be on the safe side. There we are. We're not taking any chances here. We're going to double check everything. Tell me more about your family and your position. And you were one of the babies, right?
Well, I'm the 12th. Actually, there was 14 kids. You know, the one died. I think the second child died shortly after childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
But I consider myself the 12th. But I'm really the 11th.
Okay.
Living.
Got it.
You understand?
Yes.
Because there's 13 surviving. But there would have been 14 if that other girl would have lived. I had to go into the business when my dad had a stroke in 1943. So I've been at the market since 1943 until 1986 when I retired.
Wow, long time.
Sure, longer than my father worked there.
Now, did your dad start down at the market right away when he first came over, or?
He started, well, he was a blacksmith.
Oh.
That was when he first started out. He had a little business downtown where they shoed the horses, you know. That's what they did at that time. But then he decided to go into business, and he started the old market, which was across the street from the present West Side Market.
Okay.
When the new market went up, he was one of the first tenants in there.
So
And
he was there at the ground floor.
Oh, sure, and so was your grandfather, great-grandfather,
Rosario Lombardi.
Lombardi.
Got it. And you said Lombardi was not changed as far as you know from I to Y at Ellis
As
Island.
long
It was
as I
just
can
Y.
remember, it was always, yeah.
Okay.
Lombardy.
Okay.
And that's, as far as I can remember, that's all the name they used. Even the one that's lived out in Painesville, which was your great-grandfather's brother, Felix.
Uh-huh.
Lombardi. They spelled it the same way. So it must have stayed in the family all the way through. I don't think it was changed.
All right. I've wondered about that.
Unless they came over and they changed it.
They changed it.
No, I mean,
Didn't
they
tell
did, at
anybody.
Ellis Island they would do
That's
that.
right. They did do stuff like that. So you were the 12th. You told me a
No,
funny.
I read it 11.
You were the 11th. You told me that when your mother had a baby, she said, told all the kids to get lost.
Oh yeah, and they come home, we have a new baby.
Where did you go when she said to get lost?
It's outside to play or something. I remember when Victor was born, 1923, and I was only 4 or 5 years old, and we were all sent out to go out and play and come back, and the little baby was in the living room, and she was getting ready for to make supper that night. For
You're kidding.
Saturday night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So she was used to the routine.
Oh sure.
So,
Hatch them and go back to work.
so in the book where West Side Market that they published about
To
the
Market
West
to
Side,
Market.
to market, and they were talking about the role of the Robertos, etc. in it. They were talking about I'm trying to trace this back here, that there was a house that you built that Grandpa Charlie, who was actually Gabriel, Grandpa Gabriel, built a 22-room mansion on Overlook Road, and the neighbors had a fit that a big Italian family was moving in.
Oh, sure. At that time, there was a dissension about it. And then the Thompsons lived next door to us. They even built a spike fence.
Oh, you're kidding?
Gospel
Really?
truth. Yes,
Really?
I don't remember it myself. I remember the fence.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember the dissension that they had then. But it was at the time because having a big Italian family living on with the Rudd family across the street, the Parkers and all the wealthy,
Wasps.
oh, they were, well, they were elegant people. Chandler and Rudd's were a big store downtown, you know.
Right,
They lived across the street. And the Parkers and the Rices, oh, there was a big group of people. They were the white Protestants,
Anglo-Saxon Protestants.
Who was it? White, yeah, WASP.
Yeah.
Can't think of it.
Oh, so they weren't happy, but in the book it said that Aunt Lucy was saying that you didn't care though because you were a large family and you had your
No,
own
we didn't
friends.
have to bother with them.
Uh-huh.
We all got along after a while, and in time, I remember even the Thompsons and the Higgins, that they became friendly.
Oh, so it just took some familiarity.
Well, we lived there from 1918 to 1928, 10 years. The family had diminished then. Your grandmother moved out at Queenston.
Mm-hmm.
And they built twin homes with the Robertos, Michael Roberto. And Paul was away to school, Charlie got married, Lucy got married, so the family had whittled down to very few.
And when did you
Dan
move?
was going to college then too.
Uncle Dan was in college. Now,
Yeah.
when did the family move from Overlook, from the mansion to
1928.
Fairmount Boulevard? 1928. Because I remember Fairmount Boulevard, the big brick home with the red Spanish tile roof.
That's right.
And I remember
Georgian home, yeah.
it was a big Georgian, and I remember you being up on the third floor, had a big bedroom across the front, and I remember seeing and talking to you, putting your socks on.
People, yeah, people used to call it an attic. I said, no, it was a third floor. It was a
It
big,
was
big.
finished.
It was, yeah,
finished.
all
Yeah.
complete.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, it was living room, bedroom.
Yeah, it was
It was
nice.
great.
I remember that going up, and you were just, you were putting your socks on, and I said, what are you doing? He said, what do you think I'm doing? I'm putting my socks on.
Great.
Oh.
You have a good memory, Kathy.
I was remembering, and I remember going over there at Easter time, and my father would say, now we're going to go to visit relatives, and I don't want you saying hi to them. Hi is what you say to friends. You say hello to relatives. And so we go in and say hello to Grandma Mary
No.
and hello to everybody.
Your brother and sister remember the fact that when they ever came there, they said, if any of you kids act up, you're going to get a licking. Before they came into our
That's
house.
right.
And my mother couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Oh.
She was always, I remember her sitting, and she was so tiny. She was, what, 5 feet tall?
About 5'2".
Yeah,
3.
she was very, very small, and I remember her sitting in the living room, and when she said something, you listened.
Oh yeah, or just a look.
Yeah, just a look. And I remember you saying that at the time when she was married, that was when Italian women were usually very submissive, but your mother wasn't like that at all.
Oh,
Could
she
you
was the
tell me about
boss.
that?
She
Yeah.
was a boss. My father would just look at her, and she would tell what she wanted done, and she got it done.
And he was what, a foot and a half taller than she
Oh
was?
yes, he was 6'1".
Which is really tall. Yeah.
I'd say, well, she was, I'd say 5'1" or 2, about a foot difference.
Uh-huh.
It made a lot of difference when you saw them together. Mutt and Jeff.
Oh, so you had a lot of good times growing up
Oh,
in that
they
house.
were good parents. We had a lot of fun. We played cards together, picnic together. It was a good relationship with our family.
Oh. I just remember going over there and enjoying it, and you being over there with your friends too.
Mm.
I wanted to ask you too, the next thing I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to check the camera in just a minute. Yourself, I wanted to know more. If the red light's not on, we're not recording, so we gotta get that red light on. All right,
Oh,
we're gonna
we're not-
continue now. I wanted to ask you some more things. About yourself, I wanted to hear about what you did at the West Side Market.
Well, I think I changed a lot of it. They just sold the basic beans and dried fruit. I went into the pastas and the spices and specialties, which brought up our business quite a bit. And we were doing a very good business when I left in '86. When I sold it to Frank Gimo, he neglected to follow the same stuff that I was selling. I mean, he changed his the food to what do you call it? Like that's sort of an Asiatic. Went into that.
Oh, he changed it a lot.
A lot. He went out.
Oh.
Where the ethnic group would look for the things that they wanted from Germany, Russia, Poland, stuff like that. The things that they used the kind of people that patronized our stand. But he went into more of the, what do you call these kids today? Yuppies? That kind of stuff, more of a vegetarian kind of
Okay.
thing.
And what happened? Has
And
it been
it just,
successful?
the business just dropped down.
Uh,
But now there's a new people that own it, and they got back into the same routine I had. The same, they got the clientele back, and they're doing a very good business.
So he should have stayed with the market
Well, he
that was
should have,
developed.
yes, but
Yeah.
he thought he could change it to his way, how they live. They like this vegetarian kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not gonna work very
Well,
well.
not if the people don't demand it.
Yeah. When you've got a market that's developed, you need to stay with it, I think.
Well, that's what drew them into the West Side Market, all that ethnic group that came here after the war, too.
Mhm.
They found stuff here that they could get back in their country,
Right.
and they were very pleased. Such as the poppy seed and the buckwheat and the millet seed, all that things that they used
Mhm.
back home that brought them down to the markets.
At the West Side Market, what were the predominant ethnic groups that were there?
Ukrainian, Russian, Polish, that kind of,
Okay.
the Balkan countries.
Balkan, and what about Italian and Greek? Were they?
Well, the Greeks there were a lot of Greeks here in Cleveland anyway. There was a lot, I don't think they, from the war, most of them were from the Balkan countries.
Okay.
Even Germany, I would include that too. But mostly from the Ukraine, Poland, and Russia, that kind of.
Now, the West Side Market's still thriving
Oh,
down
it's
there,
thriving
isn't it?
very well.
Okay.
It only opens 4 days a week, but they're doing well. They have a good following here.
That sounds good. Tell me about yourself in terms of what you like to do. You had mentioned traveling to the East. You had traveled quite a bit to
Well,
the
when I was
East.
younger,
Uh-huh.
I used to go on vacation to a lot of different places, but I never traveled to Europe. So I missed the boat.
Oh.
I just went around the United States. I wanted to see the United States first.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm too old to go anywhere else. I'm very happy being here.
You're happy. You're
Yeah.
content where you are.
But I like to play cards. That's my main interest at this point.
Poker? Is your
Poker,
big-
gin rummy. I used to play a lot of bridge,
Uh-huh.
but those people are all gone now, so I don't have any partners to play with.
Well, Aunt Sylvia is how old, and she's one of your partners.
93, and she still
93.
wants to play poker every day.
She said she lives for it. She loves it.
Yeah,
That's what
God
she told
bless
me.
She hates to lose, though.
She hates, what happens when she loses?
Oh, she's that long face. Oh, I haven't won a pot. I haven't won a pot. And I love to put a jab it to her and say, "Oh, Sylvia, you're winning every damn pot." She gets real annoyed with me.
Does she?
But she gets over it.
She said she loves to play cards.
Yeah.
She said it makes her happy. That's what she was telling
It sure
me.
does.
Oh, well, I think you have a beautiful
Well,
place.
I think every Sunday when we were on Overlook, they used to have that big dining room table. They all played poker.
Did they? So they started
Oh.
out early? I remember at
All
Grandma
your
Minnie's that they would get in the dining room table and play cards.
They did.
Yeah.
And even Vic and Mike, well, Mike and my father and Seti and Armin, they would play Italian games, the women, the men.
Uh-huh.
They call it different kinds of games, I don't know, I didn't understand it.
And these were
But the
card
women
games?
mostly would play in the dining room, play poker.
Uh-huh.
About 8 or 10 of them at one time, oh yeah. Every
Oh.
Sunday I remember that,
Oh, how fun.
having a big dinner and having all the family around.
I remember I remember big dinners at Grandma Mary's. and
Oh
coming
yeah,
there on
that was,
Sunday.
well,
Yeah.
you should have been on Overlook. It was even worse.
How many people altogether do you think would collect?
On Overlook?
Yeah.
On a Sunday?
Yeah.
20, 15, 20. The Lombardys would all be there.
Uh-huh.
Or we would go downtown to the Lombardys too, with your grandpa Rosario.
Uh-huh.
They would have us big parties on Sundays too. Dave and Minnie and all them, Dick and Mike would come down. Jenny and Joe Conte, that's a Lombardy that you would missed out on.
Yeah.
The Contes.
Yeah.
Which
I
they had no
remember them.
children, so they were by themselves a lot. Then Lucy married Joe, and Sylvia was married to Leonard, and then they all went their own ways after a while.
Yeah.
You know, families break up after they get married. They don't all stick.
Well, it kind of,
You get together once in a while, but Each one has their own little individual group. That's the way it was.
Yeah.
So, how much more do we go?
Well, I have other questions for you.
Oh.
I wanted you to tell me something about Grandma Minnie. This is your big sister. She was the firstborn.
The oldest one, yeah.
She's the oldest one, who was my dad's mother. And of course, I spent a lot of time around her growing up when she lived in Cleveland Heights on Queenston. And so I just wanted to, if you could just tell me what you remember of her when you were younger and when she got married.
Well, of course, I wasn't around when she got married.
You were, I know, you weren't born.
But I grew up with her a little bit on Overlook. But then they moved to Queenston, and we were going to St. Anne's. That's where I see Marie and Ross, because they were going to St. Anne's. That was a Catholic school at the time.
My dad and my aunt.
Jesu wasn't built then.
Right.
When they first started out. So Marie was up to I think we were in the 4th grade together. And then they moved to Queenston. So she went to Canterbury. And we finished up in St. Anne's, and I went to Fairfax and Roxville and Heights. So you kids, where did Ross go? Ross went to Heights too.
Yeah.
And Chuck went to Heights.
Right.
Oh yes, Ross plays football.
Right.
That's where he hurt his knee too. Yeah, that's right. I remember that much just all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I forgot that they were at Heights. I know Marie graduated at the same time about I did. Then Ross graduated in 37, 38. You remember? Or did
No, I remember looking at his yearbook.
No,
he kept his yearbooks.
Did he keep it?
Yeah, so I remember
what I did
seeing
with
that.
mine.
And yeah, I remember Uncle Chuck. Do you remember anything about Grandma? Could you describe Grandma, or how she looked, or just her personality?
Oh, she was always looked well.
I remember she was a handsome woman.
Yeah, she was a very, she carried herself well. She was kind of like a peacock, kind of. A little bit aloof. And she demanded a lot of attention.
Did she?
Oh yeah, well she got a lot of attention from her husband.
Oh really?
Oh, he spoiled her. He spoiled her very much. Catered to her 100%.
Is that right? Oh, that's funny.
Anything she wanted, it was at her fingertips. She had a nice life with him. But she lost him young too.
Yeah, he died
She was
in
only
his
about
40s.
42.
Yeah, she was young when he died of cancer.
Oh yeah.
That's right. What was Grandpa Dave like? I remember you were telling this.
Kind of a disciplinarian.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I remember.
He used to boss us kids around. Well, there were so many kids. There was his 3. And
So
our
he was
4.
bossing around too with
Oh,
Grandma Mary?
He made us sit down in the corner and couldn't move, couldn't talk. Oh yeah. We were disciplined very strongly by him.
And Grandma Mary let him do that?
Oh sure. He was a kingpin.
Uh-huh. That's funny. And so when Grandma Minnie married Grandpa Dave Lombardy, they had an apartment, Grandma told me, in the Overlook Mansion.
The big house, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so she had her first 2 children there. Is that
3.
right? She had Uncle Chuck, baby too?
Chuck was born there in 1923.
Okay.
And I think they moved out in 24. 24 would leave, don't know. I think it was 24 because, yeah, because Lucy got married in 25 and they weren't there. She got married on Overlook. Rosie was gone. 24, they must have moved away because Rosie ran away at 24.
This was the one that Grandma Mary wouldn't talk to because she married the Sicilians.
So yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Just want a point of reference here.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, they moved to Queenston, I think, the same time that Dick and Mike and your grandmother and grandfather moved together out there, Queenston Road. That was 1924, I'm
So,
pretty sure.
so she lived basically on Overlook and then Queenston when she was at least older. I know I have that picture, I have a portrait of Grandma, my Grandma Minnie, when she was a teenager, and that was the whole family, and Grandma Mary it was a very nice Victorian formal portrait, and everybody was and there's
Like
something
the one I have in the wall here?
Yes,
No.
you have it. And then there was a baby sitting on Grandma Mary's lap.
That was Anna.
That was Anna, who is
Anna Lascavio.
But she is older than you or younger?
Older, I'm not born yet.
I was gonna say, I don't think you were in that
No,
picture. That's
that was
right.
in 1916.
Okay,
I
because you
can't-
were 3 years later.
2 years.
2 years later, 1918, that's right, okay. It takes me a while to get this, but I'll
That's
work
all
at
right.
it. Anything else about Grandpa Dave that you can think of? Now, he started the David Lombardi Company.
Yeah, well, he had like I told you before, Kathy, he had a place on Euclid Avenue, a little grocery store. And I know my brother Charlie was working with him at the time. He wasn't married yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he was only 19 or 20 years old because he got married when he was 20 or 21. Then he went into the wholesale business on Woodland called the David Lombardi Company. And then Charlie joined a partnership with him until Frank went in the business. His brother Frank Lombardi.
Right.
And then then of course he got sick shortly after that. Well, 1940, did he die 41? 40. So Ross took over, your father took over.
And that was, because I know my parents got married right about the time he was dying.
Before he died.
Right, yeah, right about the time he was dying. In fact, I think they got married.
In fact, your grandfather told Ross to get married, to settle down so he could take care of the business. That's the truth.
That's what I
your mother.
heard. And my father said that marriage settles a man. That's what he told me.
Yeah, he said you might as well get married because you have to take over the business.
Which he did do.
Yeah, he did do.
And he had Uncle Chuck working for him, and then also he had.
Well, Chuck was in the service after that.
Right.
And after he
okay.
came back in the service, then they joined partnership then.
Right.
Chuck joined the business.
Chuck, and also at the beginning, wasn't Uncle Frank, who was my great uncle,
Yeah.
who was a Lombardi, his father's brother was with him in the business too.
Well, he was in the business. I don't know he was a partner.
I don't
think
think-
he had some money in the business.
Okay, because I know that after a while, I remember later on as a kid when the David Lombardi Company was going, that he worked for my dad. But I don't know what happened early on, so.
I don't think that no, Frank was in the business, the West Side Market. He had taken over his father's business, the vegetable business at the West Side Market, which was the Rosario Lombardi business. And when the old man your great-grandfather opened a store on Woodland, that was right on Ontario Street.
Yes.
Frank took over the stand after he got married to Lucy, my sister Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all I can remember in that part. And they stayed for a short time, and then he went in with his brother Frank, Dave.
Okay.
I can't remember the years. It had to be 25, 26, between 26 and 27. I think they were at the market about 2 years after they were married.
Right. I'm going to stop for a minute, and when we come back, we're going to go to a commercial here.
You and Oprah.
When I come back, we'll begin again.